For the most part, I consider myself a mild-mannered gentleman, and I do my best to refrain from unsavory coarse language. What? I do. Although my avatar is amusingly decorated in the attire of old aristocracy, I do sometimes stumble across the emergence of pretentious snobbery so audacious that even I must cock my eyebrow and readjust my monocle, and so enter the pinnacle of pretentious shitheadedness, Bill Maher. Let me say this for the record so I can set the tone for the rest of this. I truly hate Bill Maher with an absolute passion. Of all the late-night hosts, he would easily grace the top of my list of characters I'd like to fire out of a cannon into the sun. For as much as I truly despise the rest of the pathetic excuses that half-heartedly attempt to qualify as entertainment on late-night television, I expect them to dish out material so mind-numbingly dull it is only enjoyed by those that have the collective IQ of a Black Lives Matter rally. Material so partisan that even a remedial-class fifth grader can spot the propaganda. Case in point, the cringe-inducing vaccine dance routines that even children under 10 would boo at. How the hell that ends up making the rounds on late-night television aimed at adults is a pause for serious concern over where the hell all the actual adults all vanished to. But Bill Maher prides himself on being better than this, and that's the problem. He isn't. Not only is he no better than the rest, he exudes an arrogant stench while doing it, which makes him far, far worse. I can handle even oodles of arrogance with a Coke and a smile. If you want to be a boastful braggart but you can put your money where your mouth is, then more power to you. Bill Maher, however, is not skilled in this art. He has built a career on partisan democratic fellatio, all the while bashing any political figure that is remotely leaning to the right, much to the delight of his frivolous audience that is more proficient at clapping at a teleprompter's instructions as opposed to laughing at the piss-poor excuse for jokes he tries to disguise as comedy. Bill Maher is about as much a comedian as a past-out alcoholic is a professional wine taster. For all of his arrogant posturing and deluded ideas of fighting back against the more fringe elements of the woke nonsense, he will still toe the Democratic Party line like every other Hollywood elitist. For example, no one kisses Obama's ass more than Bill Maher. When Obama had his birthday bash and photos came out of all the elites ignoring every bloody rule the rest of the country was under, did Bill Maher say a word about it? No, because he's a hypocritical little bitch. But Bill Maher still occasionally will get praise from the more conservative side for saying something sane. Pardon me, but I expect better consistency of my political punditry than simply going by the broken clock is right twice a day analogy. For one, the broken clock has no conscious thought. It will inevitably be correct due to this natural occurring phenomenon we call fucking time. Bill Maher is lucky to say something sane once every 6 months, let alone twice over a 24-hour period. Those sane people seem to forget that between these sparse takes of clarity, his words are dripping with enough Trump derangement syndrome essence that were they uttered in any other place or time, he'd be sectioned off in a lunatic asylum strapped in a damn straitjacket. His recent opening monologue on Late Night showcases this perfectly, saying Biden had a pretty rough year, certainly better than the alternative, another moment that shows Maher's uber-partisan elitism, but shows a CBS News poll that only 26% of Americans think the country is going well, not to mention the Quinnipiac poll that shows Biden has only 33% approval, numbers even lower than Trump's. After which, he pivots to the so-called great economy America supposedly has, even though only 38% of people approve of it. Is Bill Maher going to perhaps pause and consider something is maybe very, very off or not quite gelling with the rest of his assertions? Fuck no. He's going to toe the party line like every other mainstream hack of a journalist and revert to the we have a messaging problem solution. Now, normal people who aren't paid off twats, elitist pricks, or anyone with sense who actually gives a damn about the Democratic Party's impending doom come November might look at all of this and go, are we wrong? Are we bastards? Because it looks like we're bastards. Nope, he's going to pivot to some lame cheap shot at Trump that doesn't even make any sense, and that Biden's problem is lacking passionate defenders and an enthusiastic base. But even better than the alternative, is he? Upon entering the White House, Biden signed 17 executive orders in his first day in office as the supposed president, more than the last 4 combined. The foggy-brained doofus who claimed decades of political experience professed he could reach across the aisle and bring together both Republicans and Democrats. Meanwhile, whoever's pulling his strings rated everything with Trump's name on it without so much giving an afterthought over what was actually effective policy, bending over the executive branch and giving it one till its eyes watered. He cancelled the Keystone XL pipeline, not only for the diminishing America's status as an energy-independent nation, but also pissing off the Canadians in the process, as well as proceeding to get on his bony knees and pathetically beg OPEC to increase the oil supply as energy prices soared across the entire nation. He delayed the Afghan withdrawal without making any further plans to competently execute it, left the entire region to be occupied once again by the Taliban, lied about this being the inevitable consequence of his impending lack of action, and not only being unsatisfied with reducing a 20-year military occupation to absolutely nothing, armed the Taliban with near $30 billion of high-tech U.S. military equipment and vehicles, disgracing the U.S. on the world stage with a military blunder only rivaled by the fall of Saigon. He stared Putin in the eye, and Biden blinked, now stated in that disastrous presser that should it be a minor incursion, that Putin pretty much has a green light to invade the Ukraine, and now a scourge of war-hungry neocons are salivating at the idea of wasting billions of dollars fighting a war with the Russians. The U.S. has no southern border, and Biden refuses to enforce any laws, as millions have poured in from all over the world, and the fentanyl count has skyrocketed out of control. So much so that it is now the #1 cause of death for adults aged 18 to 45 in the United States. Inflation is over 7%, the highest since 1982, and everything is more expensive. The labor participation rate is not even half of what it was pre-pandemic levels, as the supply chain issues and high energy prices are wreaking havoc across America. And if that wasn't enough, crime rate is skyrocketing out of control in the few places that are struggling to survive this cratering shitshow of an administration. If Bill Maher could pull that smug face out of his arrogant asshole for more than 5 seconds, look at those miserable polling numbers and maybe for once try thinking in his miserable fucking life there isn't anything worth passionately defending or being enthusiastic about. Now, that imbecile claims politics is the art of what you can get away with, something apparently only Republicans know, and proceeds to play a clip of Mitch McConnell, who says he wouldn't fill a Supreme Court seat with Obama's closing months in office, but professes he would with Trump's. Let's see, who did Obama put in the Supreme Court? Oh yeah, this one, the Michelin Man of diversity hires, a creature who no doubt took every bloody shot and booster and still has all the faith in that supposed medicine to then don 2 masks and a Lego face shield. A woman so deluded and misinformed about the coof, who echoes statistics so far off into outer space that even fucking CNN and Fauci were blushing at the outrageous claims. For as much as I hate cocaine Mitch, Trump has a better constitutional judgment than that miserable excuse for a president called Barack Obama. Secondly, it's only Republicans who engage in chicanery. Are you fucking kidding me? Obama spied on Trump's campaign, weaponized the IRS against conservatives, and the Fast and Furious scandal. Hillary Clinton involved Russia, a former MI6 agent, a law firm, a fake dossier, weaponized the FBI, blew $40 million of the taxpayers' money, and spent 4 years telling the entire damn world that the election was stolen from her. A narrative that featured damn near every night on corporate news outlets that Bill Maher bought into hook, line, and fucking sinker. And he hasn't said a damn word about it since it came out as pure bullshit schemed up by the Clinton campaign. And then, of course, Bill Maher has to drag in Obama, because no segment about half-assedly criticizing the Democrats would be complete without returning to the days of Saint Obama, the very man who paved the way for a Trump presidential election in the frickin' first place. So let's see. In the current economic crisis, we have the worst inflation since the 1980s. Meanwhile, the previous president gave middle-class America its first real wage growth in nearly 50 years, the best economy since the 1980s. Obama presided not only over the worst economic recovery in U.S. history, even besting FDR's gross incompetence, but presided over the fastest-growing income inequality gap, a rate of nearly 3 times higher than the 3 presidents who preceded him. And that's the guy you want to save the economy? Are you out of your fucking mind? You know, for all the crap these people give Trump's associates or his family, none of these late-night hosts will dare utter a damn word about Hunter Biden's activities during Joe's reign as VP. Nothing about Hunter being on the board of Burisma. Nothing about firing the prosecutor that was investigating Burisma. Nothing about Hunter's dealings with investment firms related to the Chinese Communist Party. No one says a damn word about Hunter to this day polishing Xi Jinping's dong harder than Bill Maher still tonguing Obama's nutsack. But what I find truly hysterical, though, these same elitist shitheads who dwell the halls of the ivory tower with their heads so far up their asses all damn day long, who think of themselves as so much better, so much smarter than their dim-witted Republican counterparts, whose president took a 59-point approval and reduced it to sub-40-point approval, a more than 17-point drop, took a 9-point Democratic lead in party preference, and torpedoed it into a 5-point Republican lead, a 14-point swing, the biggest lead since 1995. All in a single year. Despite all of this, the Democrats refuse to look at why any of this has even happened. and insanely are defaulting to the idea that this is just a marketing problem and want a near octogenarian to advertise to their base that he's done a good job because even their own so-called enlightened base is still too stupid to see it. Bill Maher, for someone who parades around like a smug pseudo-intellectual, you really are one stupid son of a bitch. But despite all of this, there is one glorious impending boom on the horizon to come. Remember a few years ago when Bill Maher was rightly dragged across the coals when he said, "I hope for a recession to get rid of Trump. Sorry if that hurts people." That's a very easy thing to utter when you're earning $10 million a year with a net worth of over 100, and you're wishing a hardship on millions of people just because you don't like the current guy who's actually making their lives better. Either root for a recession or you lose your democracy. The irony of this statement. Fast forward 4 years, and we have a late-night host suggesting to a sitting senator to dissolve the Senate, because when a 52 majority tell the 48 minority no and fuck off, apparently now that's not a democracy. I truly hate these people with every inch of my body. But speaking of crashing the economy, he may get his wish after all because now it's his guy doing the crashing, with record high inflation to boot. The Republicans are near dead certain already of retaking the House, and with each passing day, with more Democrats retiring, are increasing their chances of retaking the Senate as well. If the traditional trends of the president's party doing poorly, coupled with extremely low presidential approval, are anything to go by, the Democrats are setting the stage for their worst, most crushing defeat in almost 100 years, not only paving the way for a wrecking Republican majority in the House and Senate, but also setting the stage for a glorious return of the dawn in 2024, and potentially surrendering congressional control to the Republicans for the next decade. Woof! And I, for one, cannot wait to see the impending apocalyptic liberal meltdown. And that's all for today. Until next time.